Hey folks, I'm Chef Chris Grebner. We're here today at Acorn Bluff Farms. We're gonna get into cooking this pork chop with fennel and cherry tomatoes here, a nice summer chop. So let's get going on the grill. We got our coals started. We'll get the pork out in this tasty water brine. This is just my standard brine is 100 grams of salt, kosher salt, for every kilogram of water, and just a couple hours, but you can go overnight if you want to. Just depends on how thick the cut of meat is. It's a thinner cut, you might go a smaller amount of time, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours tops. And even when you do this with fish, you would want to do, 15 minutes. So it's quick. And the purpose of this brine is to really season the meat more evenly. And if you do it right, we're not going to add any salt after the dish or during the dish. We'll salt the other components, but the meat itself gets seasoned from the inside. So that's our brine. We've just got that out to dry it off and bring it up to a more moderate temperature. So there's the pork chops, and then we'll get in on pickle. Some nice spring onion here. I don't need all this. If I were pickling this for a preserve, we'd be cooking this in a jar and pressuring it and all that, but we're just going for a little quick pickle just to add to the dish. So in that way, we're gonna do a little apple cider vinegar, about equal parts apple cider vinegar, and you can go water, you can go tasty liquid. We're gonna go a little chicken stock. And we do that now because we want it to have a chance to pick up that acid. Salt, pinch, and I'll do a little pinch of sugar as well. Okay. That's that. Set aside while we get going on our other pieces. All right, so fennel, we'll just get this ready for a saute. Fennel bulb, we're gonna use the fronds as well. The fronds are these tasty treats on the top. The whole plant is edible, and in this case, we're gonna do the bulb, sauteed just lightly. Want it to be still tender when we get into it. I'm gonna put these in here temporarily. And while we've got it, we'll just pick a few of these pieces for the plate later. There we go. Give ourselves a few options. Birds. So fun. Okay. That whole, like I said, that whole thing is edible. If you're making any flavorful liquid, broths or anything, that whole thing can go in there. Usually people just use the bulb and then toss it, but that whole stalk is something you can put in your liquids. This dish would be made better by maybe cutting these ground cherries, even the tomatoes, and letting them ferment a bit for a couple of days. Extract some of their juices out and using some of that in our sauce to finish. But for our purposes here today, they're just fresh. All right. Now that these components are ready for us, we're gonna give them just a little bit of oil. Everybody here gets some oil and some sea salt. And again, while we get everything else ready, this is all gonna marinate. For cooking today, we want to make sure that we're building a hot, medium, and cool side. By no means is the cool side cool, but it is much more indirect. So when we get going here, I want these grates to get hot, and we'll cook the first side of the pork on the hot side, and then we'll flip it and go to the cool side. And that's where it's gonna chill out until we get to medium or medium rare, and we'll let that finish out to a medium temperature. Here's our pork chops going down. Like I said, we'll go on this hot side first. These Mangalitsas have such beautiful fat. And if our brine is good, we don't need to season. So we're just gonna let that go for a bit, maybe a couple minutes, and then we'll flip them over and let it finish on the cool side. Okay, so I made this broth from some trotters that I got from them. And it's got shallots, peppercorns, garlic, and a little bit of water, a little bit of salt, a little bit of white wine. And we're just gonna bring this up to a simmer. We're gonna add some butter to it, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of wine. We'll taste it out. And this is just the finishing sauce for the plate. Butter. A couple tablespoons. And we just want to brown this just slightly. And we'll add our fennel. I'm going to bring the heat down. All right, so we got some good browning bits here. So we're gonna add first our fennel, which is our heartiest veggie. Like I said before, we're just trying to take the bite out of this, bring out some of the goodness in the veggie. We're not trying to cook it too far. While that's going on, we'll get our lemons ready. All right, got our escarole ready. We got our tomatoes ready. Ground cherries ready. These are just getting tender, so we'll get our pickled onion in here just with a little bit of that vinegar. Add some sweetness, acid. Touch more salt. And do just a little bit of salmon in here. And while that finishes, we'll get that pork going. Put a little bit of color on this fat. This guy looks all right. We'll rest these for a couple minutes. You've got a nice pork product. Common misconception is cooking it to 165. The health department definitely would like to see you do that, but when we've got such a nice product, we know where she's coming from, A to B. We can be a little more careful with it, and we can cook it to a medium, like it deserves to be. I think we're about ready to start putting this piece together. We'll finish seasoning this. Okay. A little salt. Fair amount of lemon. Get a little wine in there. These veggies, we're just going to warm up this escarole, and we're going to start building this plate. Okay, one last taste. There it is. Get Ranger back out here so we can chomp on these bones. Have a bit of a bite on them. So I'm going to pour that hot sauce and these other vegetables on just to gently warm this all up. And that salt that we put on it earlier has pulled out a fair amount of moisture here. And we can't let that go to waste, so we're going to spoon that on here too. Okay. Now our veg. This could serve one very hungry person or 4. Here's our fennel fronds from before. Last little bit, just to add a little more brightness, deep, dark, bright green color. So this is a great shared dish. There it is. I'm gonna add that sauce finally. It's a very loose but flavorful sauce. Yeah, so this is our charcoaled grilled pork loin. We brined the chops just for a few hours, and they were on the open fire for just a few minutes. We've got escarole, fennel, sauteed with some of our pickled spring onion, cherry tomatoes, ground cherries, and then we finish this with our trotter sauce. If you have a few extra minutes and you're patient enough, this trotter sauce gets even better as you cook it down further and further. So if you've got the time, give your trotters what they deserve. But a beautiful little start to summer pork chop dish.